This is part 2 of our completion lecture for our module on viruses as human pathogens. So we'll cover a few more medically significant viruses, have some video presentations to summarize key notes or important notes on particular viruses. So let's begin with this one.
Viral meningitis is an infection occurring mostly in children under age 5. It happens when certain viruses invade the meninges, which are the tissues that cover and protect the brain and spinal cord. The meninges are arranged in 3 layers. The layer that actually touches the brain and spinal cord is called the pia mater. The spiderweb-like middle layer is called the arachnoid mater. The outermost and toughest layer is called the dura mater. Cerebrospinal fluid, which also protects the brain and spinal cord, flows between the meninges and over the surface of the brain. The most common cause of viral meningitis is a type of virus called enterovirus. Other viruses that can cause meningitis include the mumps virus, the measles virus, herpes viruses, and a variety of viruses spread by blood-feeding insects such as mosquitoes and ticks. Viruses that cause meningitis may be spread through the bite of an infected insect. However, the 2 most common ways the virus is spread are through fecal contamination, which can happen when hands are not washed after using the toilet or changing a diaper, and through contact with the body fluids from an infected person, such as through sneezing or coughing. Once inside the body, the viruses make copies of themselves and enter the bloodstream. Viruses travel through the bloodstream to the brain, where they cross the border between the bloodstream and the brain into the cerebrospinal fluid. The viruses spread throughout the cerebrospinal fluid and infect the cells of the meninges. The meninges become inflamed as the immune system begins to fight off the infection. Symptoms of viral meningitis in infants and young children include fever, irritability, loss of appetite, and trouble waking up. Symptoms in older children and adults include fever, headache, stiff neck, sensitivity to light, sleepiness, trouble waking up, nausea, vomiting, and loss of appetite. The symptoms of viral meningitis are similar to those of bacterial meningitis, but are usually less severe. Doctors may recommend acetaminophen or other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for fever and headache. For meningitis caused by a type of herpes virus, doctors may prescribe an antiviral medication such as acyclovir. There is no treatment for most viruses that cause meningitis, though most people recover on their own within 2 weeks.
Okay, so for viral meningitis, there are a number of species of viruses that can cause it. As mentioned already in the video, the most common causative agents are enteroviruses as well as HSV, herpes simplex. So similar with bacterial meningitis, the symptoms include fever, um, headache, chills, vomiting, sensitivity to factors such as light. Unlike bacterial meningitis, viral meningitis are more self-limiting, so we don't really have a specific cure for it. But for the case of bacterial meningitis, we can use specific antibiotics to treat the infection. And as mentioned already, viral meningitis is a less severe type of meningitis. It doesn't really lead to, or very infrequent that it will lead to severe complications. Okay, then we have viruses that can be acquired through the enteric routes. We have hepatitis as an example. I have another video to summarize key concepts.
Chronic hepatitis B. It's called the silent killer, and it affects millions of people around the world. Asian Americans have the highest rate of this disease, with 1 in 10 affected. Many will eventually die of liver disease without treatment. But we have a way to bring this silent killer out of the shadows. We can get educated, we can get tested, and we can join the fight against chronic hepatitis B. This presentation is designed to help you understand chronic hepatitis B and its treatment options. So, let's get started by learning more about the disease. Hepatitis B is caused by a virus that attacks your liver. Hepatitis literally means inflammation of the liver. This inflammation can be the result of an infection caused by the virus. Although chronic hepatitis B is the world's most common serious liver infection, you can't catch it like the common cold. The virus is spread through contact with infected blood or bodily fluids, such as what may happen if you share toothbrushes or razors. Many children are infected at birth by their mothers. Most typically, however, hepatitis B is spread through unprotected sex or injection drug use. Now that we understand the disease basics, let's talk more specifically about its symptoms. You may experience nausea, vomiting, fatigue, and abdominal pain. Or you may be among the 30% of people who do not have any symptoms when they are infected. So, with some people not experiencing symptoms, it's important to understand the risk factors for hepatitis B. People with an increased risk include Asian Pacific Islanders, particularly recent immigrants from China, Korea, and Vietnam. Also at risk are people who have had multiple sex partners, injection drug users, healthcare and public safety workers, and finally, people who live in the same household as someone with hepatitis B. Once infected, there are 2 types of infection, acute and chronic. For the first 6 months, the infection is considered short-term or acute. If the virus remains in your blood longer, then the infection is considered long-term or chronic. This type of infection is a lifelong condition that usually requires treatment to prevent more damage to the liver. It's important to seek treatment because the damage to your liver can cause serious problems, which we'll talk about next. Your liver is the largest and perhaps the most complex organ inside your body. It's located in the upper right portion of your abdomen, right below your lungs. An infection in your liver is dangerous because your liver has many important functions. First, it serves as the body's chemical factory, making things like bile that help with digesting your food. Next, the liver serves as the body's storage place for vitamins, iron, and reserve energy. And last but not least, the liver is the body's filter for harmful or toxic substances. Without it, these bad things can build up in your blood, making you very sick. If you do not treat chronic hepatitis B, the infection can lead to a condition called cirrhosis of the liver. Cirrhosis is the destruction of normal liver tissue. Hardened scars are left behind, which prevent blood from freely flowing through the liver. Often, cirrhosis is merely setting the stage for liver cancer. Chronic hepatitis B is the leading cause of liver cancer worldwide, which is why people who have the virus must be checked regularly for cancer. When you test positive for the hepatitis B virus, your doctor will likely order more tests to check the health of your liver. It's important that you see your doctor often to watch for any problems with your liver, to determine if treatment is necessary, and to see how well your treatment is working. Your doctor may use a variety of tests to check your liver and monitor the virus in your body. One test your doctor may use measures the amount of virus in your blood, also known as your viral load. This test is called the HBV DNA test. Another test, commonly referred to as ALT, looks for active liver inflammation. And finally, your doctor may take a sample of your liver tissue through a liver biopsy. This test helps determine if there is current liver damage or inflammation. Using the information from these tests, your doctor will decide what treatment is right for you. Your doctor may determine that medication is needed if your tests show a high viral load, signs of liver damage, or if you're at risk for liver damage. You may not feel sick, but it's important to get treated if your doctor recommends it. The earlier you treat the disease, the more likely you will stay healthy longer. While there is no cure for chronic hepatitis B, there are two types of treatment to help. The first is antiviral drugs. There are several types available to help prevent the virus from growing or reproducing in your body. The second is a drug called interferon. Interferon helps strengthen your body's own defenses against the virus. Whether you are taking medication or not, there are things you can do to help keep your liver healthy. These include eating a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, and avoiding things that may harm your liver, like alcohol, drugs, and some herbal medicines. Of course, seeing your doctor at least every 6 to 12 months is also part of taking care of yourself. Only through your doctor can you really know how the virus is affecting your liver and detect liver cancer. There are several things you can do to help stop this silent killer. You can start with learning more about the disease and how to prevent the spread of the virus. In fact, you can join the fight against chronic hepatitis B by becoming a Hep B warrior. This takes no special skills, just a willingness to talk about the disease every chance you get. The more people talk, the more people will get tested and vaccinated. To learn more about becoming a Hep B warrior, visit www.stophepb.com today. People with chronic hepatitis B can live a long, healthy life if they take good care of themselves and see their doctor regularly. There are also patient support programs for people living with chronic hepatitis B. These programs provide practical tips, tools, and information to help you stay on track for good health. You're not alone, so be sure to ask your doctor about free programs available for you, including the Your Liver, Your Health Patient Support Program.
Okay, so this video summarizes general concepts about hepatitis as an infection caused by the hepatitis virus. No? So, going back to the causative agent, there are 5 main strains of hepatitis virus. So, we have the A, B, C, D, and E. And all of them, they can cause liver disease, but there are differences in terms of transmission routes, the severity of the illness cause, how distributed the virus species are around the globe, and also different prevention methods. No? The types B and C, they're the ones that are identified as causative agents of chronic liver disease, that may lead eventually to cirrhosis, cancer, or and then ultimately liver infection related deaths. There are a number of people around the globe that are affected by hepatitis, but it's a vaccine preventable infection. Some types of it can be prevented by vaccination. Okay.
If you have hepatitis C, your liver is inflamed because you have been infected with the hepatitis C virus. Your liver is the largest organ inside your body and performs many important functions. The functional parts of your liver are called hepatic lobules. Your hepatic lobules filter all of the blood in your body. As your blood passes through them, your hepatic lobules break down harmful substances, remove bacteria and worn out blood cells, and form clotting factors that control bleeding. After a meal, your liver makes and stores nutrients to provide your body with energy when needed. Your liver also makes a substance called bile. Your gallbladder stores the bile and releases it into your small intestine to help digest fats in the food you eat. If you have hepatitis C, the virus entered your body when you were exposed to the blood or other body fluids from a person infected with the virus. This could have happened from sharing a drug syringe with an infected person. Other ways you may have been exposed to the virus include having sex with someone infected by the virus, sharing personal hygiene items such as razors or toothbrushes used by an infected person, direct contact with the blood or body fluids of an infected person, or when a mother passes it to her baby during birth. During the early or acute phase of a hepatitis C infection, the hepatitis C virus enters your liver and invades your liver cells. Once inside your liver cells, the virus begins to make copies of itself. During the copying process, changes called mutations occur frequently in the virus's genetic material, leading to new strains of the virus. In response to the viral infection, your body sends immune cells to attack both the virus and the liver cells infected with the virus. As a result, these liver cells become inflamed and then die. Over time, scar tissue forms around dead and infected liver cells. The scar tissue prevents your liver from working properly. If you have a chronic hepatitis C infection, your liver contains a large amount of scar tissue called cirrhosis, which limits blood flow and results in permanent shrinking and hardening of your liver. A vaccine contains weakened or inactive viruses that train your immune system to recognize and attack certain viruses. However, frequent mutations in the hepatitis C virus make it likely that you will catch a version of the virus not contained in a vaccine. As a result, there is no effective vaccine for the hepatitis C virus. If you have hepatitis C, your immune system alone may destroy all of the hepatitis C viruses in your body. However, most people infected with the virus develop chronic hepatitis C, a condition in which your immune system is not able to destroy all of the viruses in your body after 6 months. If you have chronic hepatitis C and your immune system can't get rid of the virus completely, your doctor may prescribe a combination therapy consisting of an antiviral medication called ribavirin and injections of interferon, a medication that strengthens your immune system. These drugs are most effective against hepatitis C when taken together. If you have a severe case of chronic hepatitis C, your doctor may recommend a liver transplant operation.
Okay. So for more about hepatitis C, so was mentioned, emphasized that hepatitis C strains or species are able to mutate easily. So the vaccines that are available for other known hepatitis virus species, are not really effective in ensuring that there is ready immune response or factors that can respond when hepatitis C virus infects a particular individual. It's a blood-borne virus, so most of the infections are caused by exchange of that bodily fluid, exposure to blood because of unsafe injection practices, like the injection drug users, unsafe healthcare, healthcare services. So let's say, for example, in the hospital setting, there's inappropriate practice allowing the or making the person or individual exposed, no? Unscreened blood transfusions is a good example. If you need blood and the blood that was donated to you is infected or has not infected but contains viral load of hepatitis C, no? And also unsafe sexual practices, an example of transmission routes, no? For treatment, direct acting antiviral drugs can cure a majority of hepatitis C virus. So it's really the combination of drug treatment is effective for curing this uh, um, liver infections, liver disease caused by hepatitis C. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about another type of viral disease in humans. We have viral conjunctivitis, which is caused by usually caused by adenoviruses. So there is infection of the eyes. You can see there is inflamed conjunctiva. There the manifestations very clear. There's reddish coloration of the conjunctiva, also called pink eye. And so we have the common term for viral conjunctivitis, pink eye. It's a self-limiting condition, so it cures by itself. Um, but other viruses also can cause it, aside from adenovirus, so the usual HSV, varicella zoster, VZV, that can also be a causative agent of pink eye. And even in some cases, no, HIV can also cause pink eye. So it's highly contagious, very, very infectious. Usually for a period of 2 weeks, patients with pink eye should avoid touching their eyes, shaking the hands, sharing towels with other people, because it can be easily transmitted via direct contact. No, so signs and symptoms aside from the redness of the eyes include itchiness, tearing, frequent tear production, some discharge from the eye, and also sensitivity to light. Okay, so how do we diagnose viral conjunctivitis? Aside from generally, the symptoms include physical manifestation. No, laboratory tests are usually not that necessary because viral conjunctivitis will really present itself obviously. No. Okay. Then we also have another one. We have rabies. Okay, so rabies is a very a very uh, or a key example of viral disease. No, so it's a serious public health concern because of its zoonotic nature, as well as the fact that in some geographies it's already becoming a neglected disease, especially the tropics, no? Can be categorized as an NTD, a neglected tropical disease, right? Humans get rabies uh, almost 100% of the time via dog bites and scratches. But it can be prevented by vaccination of dogs, and also the prevention of being bitten by a dog. No? When somebody is bitten by a dog or scratched by a dog, immediate wound cleansing is necessary. So wound cleansing with soap and water after contact, no, with a rabid animal. Uh, as I mentioned, no, or as already shared, it's a vaccine preventable disease, no? And it's vaccination is the most cost-effective strategy to prevent rabies in people, no? So for the symptoms, the incubation period for rabies is typically long, unlike other kinds of viral infections, like 1 to 3 months. But it can also be less than a week, no? So dependent on factors such as where did the rabies virus enter the human body, and how much, or what's the viral load, no, that was injected or inoculated to the human body. Post-exposure prophylaxis is given to a bite victim immediately after exposure to a rabid animal, in order to prevent the virus from entering the central nervous system. Because when the virus already enters the central nervous system, that's the time that will most likely begin being more problematic. So for PEP, or I mean for immediate action, immediate first aid, local treatment of the wound is necessary. It's initiated as soon as possible after the bite, after the scratch, and rabies vaccine can be administered. The administration of the rabies immunoglobulin, the RIG, may also be a management course if indicated. No? Okay. Now let's have another set of viral species that can cause infection to humans. So let's have smallpox. So smallpox as a viral infection. You can see the manifestations more aesthetic. The skin is affected. So caused by smallpox is caused by the variola virus, often called the smallpox virus. No? And it's already a vaccine preventable disease. So the prevalence of smallpox should be very, very low. No? And there's global eradication of smallpox by the year 1980. No? Okay. In terms of its signs and symptoms, initial symptoms are similar to other viral infections, no? Such as your common influenza, common cold and influenza. So there's fever, there's muscle pain, there's malaise, headache. No, it can also affect the symptoms can also affect the GIT, so the digestive tract. So symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, backache that can happen. No, so in terms of the host cell, the variola virus attacks skin cells, causing pimples or macules, as shown in these pictures. No, there usually a rash will develop 24 to 48 hours after lesions on the mucous membranes appear. And these macules typically they appear on the forehead, and then they will rapidly spread throughout the face, okay, and to proximal portions of extremities of the trunk, and also to the lower extremities. Okay. Now we also have measles and mumps. So measles caused by the robiola virus. So this infection typically causes fever and red rashing, usually in child in ano siya, no? Usually affecting children. Okay. Then we also have mumps. Okay, so mumps or beke in Tagalog. Okay, so mumps is highly contagious. Initial symptoms are actually non-specific, almost similar with the spectrum of symptoms caused by other viral species. So the general manifestations of fever, headache, muscle pain, loss of appetite. But for the case of mumps, usually followed by painful swelling on the side of the face attacking the parotid gland. It's the most common symptom of mumps infection. It's an indicative sign that there is a mumps infection, or there is mumps or the person is experiencing mumps as an infection caused by the viral agent. Okay. And we have measles caused by rubella virus. So here, the targeted or the primary affected patient is the children. Okay, so the red rash formation, as you can see in these pictures. No? So for the case of measles, mostly children, but it can still affect adults, especially those without those that are not vaccinated. It infects the respiratory tract, and it can spread throughout the body. So the usual symptoms are same with the other types of viral infections. For the case of pregnant women, yeah, it is transmissible from mother to child. Congenital measles, congenital rubella syndrome can be potentially devastating, for the developing fetus. Children who are infected with rubella even before birth are at risk for growth problems, for developmental problems that might lead to intellectual disability, defects of organs such as the heart, the eyes, can also lead to deafness, as well as problems associated with liver, the spleen, and bone. Okay. Then we have chicken pox. Okay, so chicken pox is another important another important viral infection. So chicken pox is an illness caused by the VZV, the varicella zoster virus. Okay, so it results to itchy rash with small fluid filled blisters on the skin. It spreads very easily from people to people, especially those that did not get the vaccine yet. No, but of course the vaccine is already globally used, and the prevalence of this viral infection should be very small. Okay, then we have shingles. Okay, so shingles are caused by herpes zoster virus. Okay, can be primary symptom are painful blisters. Okay, so the blisters look like a single stripe of area. So here you can see in this picture. Let's have my highlighter. So it's a painful strip of blisters, and it's uh, it's really not life threatening, no, but it can be painful, no, and early treatment will shorten the manifestation of the disease. So symptoms in general are pain or burning on the affected part, sensitivity to touch, itching, and then the fluid-filled blisters are very evident for the case of those with shingles. No? When should individuals with potential shingles infection see a doctor? So the pain and rash, if they occur on very on sensitive areas of the body, such as the eye, if it's left untreated, the infection may lead to eye damage. So the patient should see a doctor right away. If the individual is of mature age, no, if you're 50 or older and you caught shingles, the risk of severe complications is higher. So you should see a doctor, no, and especially if individuals within, let's say, your family are immunocompromised, you should definitely see a doctor as soon as possible. Okay. Then we have herpes simplex, HSV. So HSV, herpes simplex virus, there are two types. Type 1 causes orolabial herpes, appearing, the manifestations are within the oral cavity, mouth, no? And then the viral type 2 is causing genital herpes. So genital herpes manifestations in the genital organs, no? The genitalia. Okay. In terms of signs and symptoms, okay. So for most people with herpes, the infection or the disease doesn't really have like obvious symptoms, only very mild symptoms, no? And usually many people are not aware that they are already infected with HSV, and that's problematic because they will have the chance, or they will increase the risk of having multiple infection cycles, like they can transmit it to other people, no? Symptoms include painful blisters or ulcerations on the body parts that are involved, and in some cases these ulcerations can be repetitive, like they resolve for a while and they can appear again, no? um, for the case of orolabial, so the cold sores here, let's see, these are called cold sores. Okay. Okay. For the case of genital herpes, bumps, blisters, open sores on the genitalia or the anus are common symptoms. Okay. For treatment of HSV, drugs are often used to treat recurrent or symptomatic cases of herpes. No, treatment include acyclovir, antivirals, excuse me, antivirals, as acyclovirs, famciclovir, valacyclovir. So common. Um, those are common antiviral drugs that are used, no, for treating HSV. Okay. Then we have HPV, yan, human papilloma. So, excuse me. Uh, I just got a hiccup. Give me a moment. I will resolve it and I'll go back to the recording. Sorry, so going back. So we have HPV, human papilloma virus, no? The causative agents of um, the infection caused by HPV are actually a lot, no? So there are a number of known viruses under this group, no? So HPV infection, it's um, what do you call this? It's a self-limiting infection, but it can be also, there are persistent types, especially in cases of high-risk individuals, no? Particularly women are at risk of HPV infection. It's sexually transmitted, no, and it targets the viral species can target the skin, the genital area, throat, and essentially skin. So that's why there are manifestations that are showing here, no, and um, for the case of individuals that are not having or asymptomatic, even though they're infected by it. No? Usually, what the assumption is their immune system are able to clear the virus, no, easily and effectively. Okay, so the lumps or the warts that you can see, they can appear in different parts of the body. So for the case of genital warts in the vagina, in the penis or anus, and in some cases even in throat, no, they can be painful. They may be painful and itchy, and they can also bleed. No, they can also cause inflammation, or um, they can also cause swelling on the affected part, or swelling as themselves. No? HPV infection usually leads to some serious complications for the case of at-risk individuals, and if there's no treatment provided, or the individual is not immunocompetent to fight the infection, definitely will cause cancer, no? And there is already vaccine for HPV that is available. So here are some more pictures. You can see genital warts on the penis, the penile area, as well as in the anal area. Okay, but cervical cancer is the most problematic complication of HPV. Right. Then we have AIDS, no? A human immunodeficiency virus, so HIV, which is causative, the primary causative agent of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, so AIDS, it's a chronic, ongoing public health problem. It's a chronic infection, still an ongoing public health issue. Okay, caused by HIV, and if untreated, it can take years before it weakens the immune system, making the individual susceptible to a variety of infections caused by other microbial pathogens. No? Many people who have HIV don't really know it because of the incubation period, no, that it will take for it to manifest its symptoms, no, and even though an individual doesn't show symptoms, the infection or the virus can still be transmissible. Okay. In terms of detection, usually it will take 3 months, no, or 90 days for antibodies that are specific to HIV to show up. Okay, and there's really no cure for HIV. It's if an individual is already affected by it, the individual will require treatment, no, antiretroviral drugs to ensure that the what do you call this, the viral particles do not get to replicate as much, so they don't really affect the immune system as much. Okay, so some important notes. So misconceptions about HIV transmission. HIV cannot be spread by the following things: by touching, handshaking, hugging or kissing, coughing and sneezing, the use of common spaces like swimming pools or toilet seats in public toilets, public comfort rooms, sharing bed linen, or eating utensils or food with the same or using utensils that are shared with a person infected by it, or even via animals, mosquitoes, or other insects. Okay. Now, looking at the structure of the HIV virus, so you can see it's an envelope virus. So the capsid is encapsulating the nucleic acid material. Okay, so the for the case or for the specific type HIV-1, so HIV-1 virions. Okay, so there's a single strand RNA genome within a capsid that is triangular, conical in shape, no? And for the case of HIV-1, the RNA genome is less than 10,000 nucleotides long, no? And in terms of size, the virion particles are 120 nanometers in size, or in diameter rather. Then, as a particular type of or particular class of viruses, so they have reverse transcriptase within them, since these are reverse transcribing RNA viruses. Okay, I have a video here. Let's watch them together. Oops.
HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. If you have HIV, you have an infection that damages your immune system over time and causes AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. It is the final stage of an HIV infection when your immune system is damaged and too weak to fight off ordinary infections. When foreign invaders, such as bacteria and viruses, get into your body, they can cause infections. These events activate your body's defenses. The white blood cells of your immune system are part of your body's defenses. One type of white blood cell, called helper T lymphocytes, or helper T cells, strengthen your immune system's response to infection in two ways. First, helper T cells release chemicals that attract other white blood cells to the site of the infection. These additional white blood cells attack the invading bacteria or virus, as well as other infected cells. Second, helper T cells release chemicals that cause other white blood cells to multiply. These new white blood cells create markers, called antibodies, which can identify the same foreign invader throughout your body. Antibodies attach to the bacteria or virus, marking them as targets for your immune system to destroy them. If you have HIV, it travels through your blood and other body fluids to infect and kill certain white blood cells. The virus enters helper T cells, which are the primary target. Once inside, the virus makes many copies of itself. As these virus particles are made, they leave the damaged helper T cell to infect other cells. The T cell loses its ability to protect the body from the ongoing infection and dies. In this way, HIV spreads and kills more of your helper T cells, weakening your immune system. As a result, other types of infections are able to take advantage of your body's inability to defend itself. These infections are called opportunistic infections. If you have an HIV infection and one or more opportunistic infections, you have AIDS. Some of the common AIDS-related opportunistic infections are inflammation of the tissues covering your brain and spinal cord, called meningitis, inflammation of your brain, called encephalitis, respiratory illnesses, such as pneumonia and tuberculosis, intestinal illnesses, such as chronic diarrhea caused by infectious parasites, and cancers, such as Kaposi's sarcoma and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. HIV passes from person to person through infected body fluids. HIV can enter your body during unprotected sex, while sharing drug injection needles, during your own childbirth, while breastfeeding from your mother, or from contaminated blood or blood products. Although there is no cure for HIV, drugs called antiretroviral medications can reduce the amount of HIV in your body. One class of antiretroviral medication, called entry or fusion inhibitors, disrupts the HIV infection process by preventing the virus from attaching to your cells. Other classes of antiretroviral medications include reverse transcriptase inhibitors, protease inhibitors, and integrase inhibitors. These drugs prevent the creation, assembly, and spread of new viruses. Your doctor may prescribe a combination of these drug classes known as highly active antiretroviral therapy, or HAART. Antiretroviral medication doesn't completely remove HIV from your body, but slows it down enough to enable your immune system to fight infections. Regular blood tests will let your doctor know how effective your antiretroviral medication is in controlling HIV. If the number of helper T cells is high enough in your blood sample, your medication is working. Treatments for the opportunistic infections of AIDS are medications specific for each type of infection. For example, your doctor may prescribe antibiotics if you have pneumonia or tuberculosis. To avoid getting or spreading an HIV infection, know your HIV status and your partner's status by getting tested regularly. The most effective way to prevent HIV infection is to avoid vaginal and anal sex. When engaging in sexual activity, you will be less likely to contract HIV if you only have sex with one uninfected partner or use latex condoms for protection. Avoid using injectable illegal drugs or sharing drug needles because the needles may have the virus on them. Avoid intoxication from drugs or alcohol because you will be more likely to engage in unsafe sexual behavior.
Okay. Oops. All right. All right. So now that we've covered those viral diseases, I want to emphasize in the context of medical microbiology. Another important microbial entity I'd like to cover within this module are prions. No? So prions are proteinaceous material, proteinaceous entities. They do not have nucleic acid, but the thing about them is they're able to cause infections. No? They are known as the smallest infectious agent to date since they are just proteins. No? And prions have as examples, we have here causative. We have here some infections caused by prions. We have mad cow disease and CJD, Creutzfeldt Jakob disease. So as examples or as symptoms of a prion infection, the case of CJD. So we have shrinkage of the brain and deterioration of the brain nervous functions, since the target tissue or the target bodily part is primarily the nervous tissues. No? So the thing about them, about prions, is they are misfolded proteins, and what they do is when they interact with the normal variants of these their normal variants, they can also induce misfolding. No, so their example, what do you call this? Um a good example, or most popular, I'd say, associated with prion related infections is TSEs, transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. So TSEs are um, known to be primarily affecting nervous tissue. No? So incubation for the case of prion infections may take time, like a year or more multiples of years. But once that prion infections, or once that prions are able to successfully induce the disease, the progression is often fatal, or often very progressive. No? Um, so I mentioned about CJD already. No? Okay. And we have bovine spongiform encephalopathy. Okay. So yeah. So they're not, although they're not really under the viral group. Okay, since they also cause infections to humans. We also cover them in this module. Okay. So let's have a video. I think this is the last slide, the last presentation about how prions can cause infection and how do they arise.
There is evidence that the infectious agent associated with certain brain diseases, such as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans and mad cow disease in animals, may be caused by a protein. The infectious agent has been called a prion, for proteinaceous infectious particle. The normal prion protein, PRPC, is bound to the surfaces of neurons, and the gene for PRP is present in normal vertebrates and invertebrates. Presumably, the normal prion protein, PRPC, can be altered, and the altered prion protein, PRPSC, SC meaning scrapie associated, becomes misfolded and takes on a different conformation. Many researchers believe that the infective agent is this alternative protein conformation. It is believed that when PRPSC enters a normal brain, it binds to the normal cellular PRP, PRPC, and induces it to fold into the abnormal conformation. The newly produced PRPSC molecule may then convert more normal PRPC proteins into the abnormal PRPSC form. An alternative hypothesis is that PRPSC could activate enzymes that modify the PRPC structure, not shown.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the last slide. Yeah, it is. Okay. So now we completed we completed our lecture discussion for our module on viruses as human pathogens. So make sure that you complete your group worksheet. The due date for that will be next week.